Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So, let's pick up where we left off. So what we did last week was paint, lots of paint. Lots of prep, lots of paint, lots of fumes, lots of everything. So, let's see, went through, got all the tins done, then went through and got the block all cleaned up, masked, painted, all the, all the stuff. So, unfortunately, ran out of time last week, wasn't able to really show you the final-ish product. But if you follow me on social media, which are always down in the description, I did post a picture of the motor kind of put together. So what I ended up doing is I just kind of stuck stuff back on it to, one, seal it up, and two, because I was curious how it's going to look. So, well, in case you're wondering, here's what we're looking like. So timing cover just held on with a couple bolts. I didn't even put bolts in the valve covers. Oil pan, it's just got like 4 bolts holding it on, and I just set the intake on top of there. So it's pretty much just been sitting here for the last week, pretty much just waiting. There were some parts I had to order that took a little longer to get here than I'd hoped. And then 2, been a little busy. It seems to be a common theme, but such is life. No, I had to go pick up something yesterday. It's Sunday, by the way. So I had to spend most of the day yesterday going to pick up something for a future project. Took the majority of the day to get that stuff sorted out and squared up. So got that done, and then also got a nice box from Summit. It was actually from multiple different places, but the majority of the stuff came from Summit. So I got a bunch of stuff ordered, and it finally all showed up. Let's see, what is this guy? Oh, that's for later. That's not for this one just yet. But, got my pulleys. I'll show you one of them. These are just eBay. Picked them up off of eBay. $60 or something like that. They weren't crazy expensive. But they look pretty good. I did actually pull these out already and just take a quick peek at them to see what I actually bought. One-handed, this is a little difficult. Here we go. So some nice billet. So that's the crank pulley. So it's got 3 in it. And of course, it's got fingerprints and crap all over it. But we'll clean her up and maybe even shoot that with a little bit of clear so it doesn't oxidize and start looking bad. This one, I think, one of these is power steering pump pulley, and I've got another one somewhere in here. That's the water pump pulley. I think this is the water pump pulley. So anyways, or maybe I had that backwards, I don't remember, but anyways, figure it out whenever we get a little bit further down the road. Let's see, I got my break-in oil additive. Let's see, what else we got in here? That, I don't remember what this part is, but it's got my address and stuff on it, so I'm not going to show the box. Let's see, what else did we get? We got black fuel pump, mechanical fuel pump. Thought about going electric on this, but since I got the provisions for mechanical, figured why not? Let's do the mechanical. And that one is a higher flow. It's still, I think, 7 psi. But I want to say it was like 110 gallons a minute, something like that. Let's see, another one with my address on it. I believe that one is my valve cover bolts. Since this motor had an oil cooler on it, I had to get the adapter to put actual spin-on oil filter on there. Pipe plug kit. I've got a few pipe plugs floating around, but not a ton. I got my push rod for the fuel pump. And hang on a second, I gotta pull these other things out. All right, so also got high torque mini starter. It is deep in the plastic, but it's a lot smaller than the factory unit. The factory unit is right there. Thing's huge, and it probably weighs 50 pounds. And then last but not least, I got a Tough Stuff performance water pump. It's supposed to be a high flow or high volume, something like that. And I got it in black. Oh, wait, here we go. And I went ahead and got it black. So that way it kind of matches up with everything else on the front of the motor. So I got all my little auxiliary pieces, something pieces, the extra crap that goes on the outside of the motor. So I got all those pieces and parts ready to go. Still have to drop the pan back off. Still got to drop the pan back off, check my distance, measure the depth of the pan, because honestly I don't know, versus my new oil pickup. So still got to check that. Oh, as I go falling. Let's see. I've got a distributor right there. So yeah, I think I've got everything I need. I got two carburetors. I got a it's either 700 or 750 Edelbrock. Honestly, I don't remember. I had it on Big John for a little while, but I figured I'd drop it back down to the 600. And it seems like the 600 a little bit better on Big John. And then I've also got I think it's a 750 Holly, I think, that came with the Pontiac when I bought it. So I may get that guy out and use it. I don't know yet. We're a little ways off from all that. Let's see, what else did we do? Let's see. Oh yeah, I tried test fitting the headers on this guy. And if you notice right there, I got a little nick, and over here I got a little nick. So the bottom of the header flange is hitting these bolts. And I had to do the same thing on Big John, which is trim off the bottom of the header flange, just notch it a little bit where each one of the bolts are for the lower head bolts. So I had to go through and do all that. I haven't done that to those headers yet, but I've got to do that so I can get those headers bolted up and ready to go. And then still haven't done anything with this intake. You know, I just want to go through and clean up some of this, you know, casting, you know, where it's got, you know, like, oh man, there's a sharp edge right there. But it's got these little sharp edges all over it. And then also open up the porch just a little bit. I'm not going to take a lot of material, just open them up just a little bit to kind of, you know, match the gasket. So so it looks like I got everything I need, I think. So I guess I'm going to kind of get started on stuff. Probably put all this crap back in that box, so that way it's out of my way. And I guess first things first, I really need to work on this intake. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the intake, figure out what all I need to do there, get that laid out, and then we'll just move on from there. So I'll catch back up with y'all here in just a bit. All right, so here's where we're at. Took a couple bolts, stuck the gasket on there, stuck a bolt here, stuck a bolt here. Still wanting to sag and kind of fiddle fart around, so I took this alignment tool, stuck it in there, got her lined up pretty good, then threw some tape on it just to make sure that it didn't move while I was marking it with some Sharpie. So just went around, marked the outer edges of it with the Sharpie. Gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, and then we'll get to, you know, cleaning those up a little bit. Shouldn't take too long. Aluminum's pretty easy to work with, and I'm not having to take a lot of material off. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going down in there and continuing to take material off way on down in there. Maybe I'll get in there and clean up some, you know, I see a couple little spots that are a little tall, so maybe just kind of knock them down a little bit. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time down in there, mainly because this is just a huge improvement over the old cast iron intake. So so like I said, just kind of cleaning those edges up. That way it's just kind of a straight through shot for the air. It's not necking down and then coming back up. So so anyways, I'm gonna get the other side lined up and get it marked up, ready to go, and then we'll get the die grinder out and get to it. So be back in just a moment. so got the intake port matched, or gasket matched, I guess is what should say. They're opened up. They're pretty good now. Before, this guy was much smaller than this guy, and then I think it was this guy was much smaller than this guy, or vice versa. I don't remember now. But the only bad thing I did was I kind of got a little wonky on that one and opened him up a little too wide. I do need to come back with just a file, because that raised a nice little edge up on there. So I'm gonna come back with a file and just kind of knock, just go through the edge real quick and just smooth out the edges. One thing I did run into, and I think it was on this side, it was one of these ports. There was a pretty nasty spot. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't, but there's a pretty nasty spot. Yeah, it's back there in the shadow. There's a pretty nasty spot back there that it's pretty rough. It's a pretty big raised area, so I'll probably get one of the longer sticks on here and just get in there and smooth that out a little bit. But that's pretty much all I'm going to do to this, other than just kind of, like I said, filing those edges down, because it did create kind of a raised sharp edge on all these ports. So I'll go through and just kind of file that down, maybe even just get a block of something, wood. I think I got a really good firm styrofoam thing that I can wrap a piece of sandpaper on and deck the intake. Probably won't go that far with it. I'll probably just take a little file and just clean those edges up a little bit. But I got to do that, and then I got to blow it out and really clean all the little bits of metal out, because bits of metal going through a motor, that's just a bad time. We don't want that. So good thing is it started storming about midway through all this, so that was nice, because it kind of cooled everything down and it allowed me to open up the big door. Bad thing is it's still raining, so whoop. I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but something extra sitting in the driveway. But future project, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's still raining outside, so trying to blow all that aluminum shavings and everything out, it's not going to happen outside, and I really don't want to do it here in the shop, because it's just going to make a big ass mess. So I'll probably call that good for now, and then I guess get over here and clean up a little bit once I get done cleaning that one thing off and shaving those little edges down. And then I guess we'll get working on the oil pan and the oil pump and the pickup. Yeah. But anyways, so that's where we're at. So I'm gonna clean this mess up, finish up on this intake real quick, and then if the rain dies down, get her blown out and get her cleaned up real good. If not, we'll just move on to something else on the motor and start getting this guy kind of pieced together. So all right, I'll be back in just a few. Well, just can't leave well enough alone. I'm gonna go ahead and smooth these guys out a good bit. So I guess I'm gonna work on the intake for a good little bit of the day. So eventually we'll get started on getting the rest of the motor together. But yeah, for now, I'm like, you know what? I'm already here. Let's just go ahead and clean it up, smooth it out. I'm not gonna really take a lot of material. Pretty much just gonna smooth it to, take some of the roughness out. So, all right, enjoy. All right, so I didn't get as much done as I'd hoped. I got most of it pretty well smoothed out, at least the last 50% ish of the ports. I got them opened up like they should be. Everything's cleaned up there. Went to just kind of smoothing it out a little bit on further down in the runners, and well, I ran into a problem, so I'm like, all right, I'm done. We're gonna stop here and see if we can't get this sorted out. So this is a Speedmaster, I believe a mid-rise intake for the big block Chevy. So this guy, I bought it mainly because price. You know, hey, we're budget building here as much as possible. So, you know, rather than going with the Edelbrock air gap and all this other stuff, I was like, let's go with the Speedmaster. I've got a low rise on Big John. It's working fine. Probably should have done the mid rise on him, but low rise seems to be doing just fine on that one. So I had read some guys that were doing port work on theirs online, and ran into some problems with the casting, which we've already seen on the outside of this guy. It's got some piss poor casting going on, and there's some pits down in the runners and stuff that I've seen, but most of them I was able to clean up and get taken right out. You know, nothing major. Well, till this one. Yeah, I ended up getting down on it with my little ball bit and really trying to clean it up, try to see exactly how deep this went, and then I had to stop because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go plumb through. So anyways, you can kind of see it. I tried to backlight it as best I can, but yeah, you can kind of see we got a big hole there. Let's see if I can get my tip in here. So that's a big hole that goes pretty deep. This one is not as deep, it's just there's a pinhole there. That one's a pretty good one, and then this turkey way back here, that one is pretty significant. It's hard to see on camera. You can see it a little bit better from, you know, from this angle with your eye, and with the camera out of the way, you can actually get down in there and you can poke around. So it doesn't feel like it's opened up to where, you know, there's a hole in the wall, so to speak, all the way through. But that'll create a lot of turbulence coming through. Plus, I don't want that spreading any further. So I think what I'm going to do, I just cleaned this guy, brake cleaned it real good, got all the little metal shavings and everything out. So with those holes being where they are, basically, I'm just going to get some 2-part epoxy and smear that down in there. You know, probably try and find a popsicle stick or something, because it's a little bit out of reach of my finger. Well, one of them isn't, but most of them are. So try to get some 2-part epoxy down in there, and wow, I can almost get all of them, but get those filled in and get that filled in and smoothed out and make it whole. But that's pretty much going to put the brakes on today, because one, I got to let this thing get back to room temperature after the brake clean. You know, aluminum tends to you know, dissipate heat really well whenever you cool it way down with brake clean. It takes it a few minutes to get back up to room temperature. Plus, it's humid as hell, and with this guy still being colder than the air around it, it's getting a lot of condensation on it. So that's got to dry up pretty good before I can get to, you know, actually working on sealing up those holes. And then I can get back to the motor. So I guess I'm gonna call that good for today, and try to get back out here sometime this next week and get a little bit further ahead. So sorry for the short video this week, folks. Like I said, I had to go run pick up something for a future project that I think is going to be pretty awesome. So no real progress this week on much of anything. You know, got the gasket match done. Hey, that's something. But like I said, yesterday was kind of a blown up day. Had to go get the other parts the other thing for the other project that I'm working on, or gonna be working on. I'm trying to amass parts right now, so that way when it comes time I can just hit it hard and run through it. But got that thing yesterday, which, like I said, took most of the day. So my weekend's kind of blown up, and this week was pretty busy. So getting out to the shop and actually doing anything during the week was just not happening. So, but yeah, I do apologize. This week's video is kind of a bust, but you know, hey, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes, you know, you can try to do everything and it just kind of blows up in your face. So I'm gonna try to get up this week, do some more on the motor. Maybe I can get the epoxy stuff tomorrow, because I don't have any sitting here on the shelf that I can find. Doesn't mean I don't have it, it just means I can't find it. It may be somewhere on that mess, but I doubt it. So so I'll go and pick up some, no big deal. Pick up some of that, get this intake fixed, and then I can get working on the rest of the crap on that motor this week. Maybe I can get her done to where the motor will be put together. So anyways, all right, well, if y'all guys don't follow me on social media, info is down in the description. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps grow the channel. Makes it a little bit more fun for me to get in here and do this stuff, showing all y'all guys my questionable at times work. So anyhow, I do appreciate it. Y'all guys have a good week, and we'll see y'all next week. And just remember, folks, it ain't got to be perfect, just good enough. And we'll see y'all next time.